Off the top here at 6, Councilmember Janeese Lewis George on her way to become D.C.'s next mayor. She is now projected to win the Democratic nomination.
This came just hours after her main opponent conceded the race. She's now gearing up for the general election in November and taking President Trump head on.
Fox 5's Tom Fitzgerald live at the Wilson Building tonight. And Fitz, we understand you spoke with Lewis George today, right?
Well, good evening. The Ward 4 council member is not only right now the presumptive Democratic nominee for D.C. mayor, but remember, given the political makeup of the District of Columbia, going Democratic in race after race after race, let's face it, she is the likely person to become mayor once the general election is held in November. Her main opponent, Kevin McDuffie, pulling out of the race today in a statement saying, in part, it is clear voters have chosen a different path. Tonight, that path is going to include a council member who herself describes her own political history as being a democratic socialist, somebody who President Trump himself said if she won, he would, quote, take over D.C. Now, for her part, Lewis George said today in a press conference that she will work with anybody, Democrat or Republican, in order to improve the district. So why and how did she win? Well, Lewis George says in her viewpoint, talking to voters, that they wanted a change from Bowser administration policies, especially on issues like housing and affordability.
As I've stated before, this election is not about me. It never has been, but it's about the people of D.C. I will be consistent in putting people first, and they will see that not only in how I lead, but in the policies that I fight for and implement. What was clear is that affordability is an issue in this city, and there has to be leadership who is ready to address it.
Now, on public safety, crime, those teen takeovers, curfews, which, remember, Lewis George on the council has opposed, she said she is going to work on those issues with community input. Now, remember, the D.C. Police Union did not endorse Janeese Lewis George for the mayoralty, but she did say today she wants to work with police officers to reform MPD. Along those lines, she also made it clear there will be a new police chief, and she's launching a local and nationwide search for someone to do the job.
We also need a good relationship with our police officers, and I've committed to rebuilding the trust that's necessary within the police department and the police department with our community. And I think those conversations are important.
At a ribbon-cutting ceremony today, Mayor Bowser told reporters that she is going to look towards working on a transition with Lewis George. We're live at the Wilson Building tonight. We'll send it back in to you.
Thank you, Fitz. Also happening today, Alyssa Silverman set to reclaim the at-large council seat that she lost to Kenyon McDuffie 4 years ago. She's brought in 55% of the vote, with nearly 3/4 of the votes counted. Her closest rival, incumbent Donnie Crawford, had already conceded the race. Now, in the Democratic at-large race, Shadow Representative Oye Owalewa holding a lead over his opponent, although none of the candidates are close to the 51% threshold, so this race appears headed for at least a second round. And out of the district and into the Commonwealth now, today is the first day of early voting in Virginia. It will continue till August 1st. Voters will decide on their nominees for a U.S. Senate seat, as well as House races and some local offices. Primary election day is on August 4th. Today is also the last day for early voting in Maryland. Maryland's primary day is next Tuesday.
Tonight, bipartisan pushback on President Trump's newly signed deal with Iran to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill saying it offers Iran too much. Fox 5's Homa Bash live in the newsroom tonight with the new details. Homa.
Kenneth, so first off, the concern is that the deal gives Iran major economic relief, while the more nuanced nuclear questions are dealt with over the next 60 days of negotiations and ceasefire. But as of now, and after 111 days of gridlock, ships are moving through the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. forces have lifted the blockade. Democrats, meanwhile, have been very vocal that starting this war in the first place, it was a massive mistake.
This will be regarded as one of the biggest American disasters.
We have an understanding of certain things without writing it. And if they don't honor that, we'll probably go back to bombing them until they honor it.
The peace agreement centers around 14 points that the United States and Iran have agreed on to temporarily end the 4-month war launched by President Trump back in February. Iran agreeing to not procure or develop nuclear weapons, obviously a major sticking point in all this, but the deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for lifting sanctions on Iran That is getting strong reaction from Senate Republicans. They say the outcome of the war hasn't been worth what it has cost. The lives of 13 American service members, many injuries, and more than $100 billion already spent. Here's input from experts I spoke with today in the DMV.
I wouldn't say that the deal fleeces the American people. I would say the war itself was a mistake for the American people, and this deal just reinforces what a bad idea the conflict was in the first place.
Tepidly supportive of the president on balance, because I think if we can get a decent resolution on the Iran nuclear enrichment capability and then get the Strait of Hormuz reopened, it may be the least bad of our bad options at this point.
Vice President Vance says technical talks on the peace deal start this weekend. The memorandum of understanding has been sent to Congress now after days of complaints from lawmakers on both sides that they didn't receive details of the deal sooner. The markets have reacted quickly, oil prices falling to the lowest price since the war began, and we are already seeing relief at the gas pumps. Angie?
All right, Homa, thank you for that update. Let's talk weather, shall we? A live look outside. Hello to our friends in Frederick. From our Fox 5 Skycam, got some clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
Not sure what kind of story they're going to be telling.
And of course, it's already the end of the week for many people because we have a holiday.
Oh my God!
Tomorrow,
No wonder
Juneteenth.
it's felt like Friday, because for so many people it is, with a 3-day weekend and really the start of everything summer.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Is it going to be a washout?
No, not a
Oh,
washout, but we will have a little bit of rain to start. But I
Okay.
think it's like you get the lousy weather over with and then you just improve, right?
It's true. At least like there won't be a lot of cars on the roads tomorrow when this
Exactly.
hits. So
I know. That's a good point, because no one's going to work or school.
Right.
So,
I mean, some people are.
Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow, right? Yeah. Some people are, including us. But it's true. What would normally be a busy Friday morning drive-in is not, because of the holiday. That's our time frame for seeing some rain, and might I add, much needed rain in the metro area. We'll talk about that in a minute, but first let's recap today. Kind of an unusual upside down sort of late spring day, in that we had the storms early, like morning commute time, mostly to the north and west. Showers whipped through here about mid-morning, and then that was it. The storm chances fizzled, but the winds picked up. It stayed kind of overcast, and somewhere in between, we hit 91 at Reagan, 90 at BWI, just 85 at Dulles, and now we've got the blue sky shining through. Sun's back here a late day as we see a view from Washington's Earth Cam. 87 degrees in D.C., dew point at 64, so it's still a little humid. West-southwest winds at 11 miles an hour, but gusts are a bit higher, especially to the east. We're mostly in the 80s. The warmest temperatures have definitely been where that mild air's hung on. 94 in Leonardtown, 91 in Chestertown, but much cooler across the mountains where they're only in the upper 70s. So satellite and radar is quiet. We're not really expecting any showers for the rest of tonight. It's what's going to redevelop towards dawn tomorrow. So 70 degrees with increasing clouds overnight. Best chance of showers is before noon, D.C. and points south and east. And look at your planner. What starts as a gray first half of the day turns bright and sunny, and those temperatures jump into the mid-80s. We have a really nice weekend ahead, seasonable, but also not too humid. We'll talk about that coming up in my full 7-day. Kenneth?
All right, Caitlin, thank you. New tonight, Virginia's governor now asking residents in the Commonwealth to conserve water as the region deals with historic drought conditions. The lack of rain has led to the state's driest period since 1941. Right now, the conservation efforts are voluntary. The Commonwealth is asking people to limit watering yards, filling swimming pools, and washing their cars. If drought conditions continue, Governor Abigail Spanberger warns she may force mandatory water restrictions.
Well, in the district, a new juvenile curfew zone is taking effect tonight. Starting at 9:30, large groups of people under the age of 18 will not be allowed to gather along parts of the U Street corridor. This is alongside a citywide curfew that goes overnight. The order lasts through Sunday. Now, last week, Mayor Bowser issued an emergency order extending MPD's curfew power for another 2 weeks. And the city of Laurel's juvenile curfew also taking effect tonight. The mayor there issuing an executive order setting up a temporary citywide restriction, which will last through the whole summer. People under 18 will not be allowed in public spaces between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. unless they're accompanied by an adult or headed home.
New this hour, a Prince George's County mother heading to prison for 50 years for shooting her own teenage daughter. A judge sentenced 33-year-old Talika Brown for the 2024 attempted murder in Seat Pleasant. She shot her daughter in the neck after an argument. Prosecutors claim Brown tried to tell her daughter not to cooperate with the police in hopes of making the case go away. That girl has since recovered. A Culpeper County man arrested for child exploitation, accused of having a relationship with a 14-year-old he coached in youth sports. Dion Jasper facing multiple charges tonight. Police say he abused his position as an assistant coach of the victim's sports team to start a relationship and get sexually explicit pictures. Any other possible victims are asked to come forward.